to the group chat with Tara Thomas and Amanda Goodman of Faith and Four-Letter Words.
Happy Wednesday. We are almost halfway through the week, and it's been a busy one for us.
I mean, we
hit the ground running.
We did, and it's good to be back. It is Wednesday, March 25th. Thanks so much for joining us. We are excited. We had like a 3-week hiatus, like the spring break hiatus from the shows. We went out last night. We were in Alden, and it was a packed house in Alden.
So great.
It was amazing. And this is the thing that people don't understand. The energy, like people say, like, oh my God, we had so much fun. We have so much fun.
Yeah. You guys give us life. I mean, it's so cliche, but it's true because we felt a little out of our game almost, having not been doing live shows. And so it's like you feed off the energy.
And people, I mean, we go with the very first show, we had like the cue cards to keep us on track. It wasn't written out, but it was like just kind of like topics, what we were talking about. So everything is just by memory and we just speak, right? But when you're out of it for a minute, so I was like, wait a minute, let me go back. I forgot something that I have to tell you that I think that you'll love.
A good story I missed that I'd like to go back to. Shout out to Lori and Robin. They are longtime friends, coworkers, former coworkers. Lori, 30 years plus working for the city of Alden. And then Robin became, through her work with Lori, a close confidant and friend. And so it was fun to talk with them because they could relate so much to some of our life experience.
What I loved about them is they were talking about that they were really allies in the workforce. And that's, where you and I, that's how our friendship started. And it was, when you become allies in the workforce, it's like, listen, I have your back when you're not in this room. Don't worry. And that's what the most important thing. And that's the biggest message in our show. You're going to go through ebbs and flows with friendships and family members. But the number one thing is, do you have my back when I leave the room? That's it. Do you have my back when I leave the room, when I'm not there? Like, do you protect my name when I'm not there? That's what I want in a person.
And it was so important. You noted last night that it's not a sort of, negative reflection on men. But the truth is, when you're on the job, when you're in those working environments, the men are not obligated and they don't think like a woman does in terms of the advocacy. So men aren't going to be the ones that go to bat for you because they're in a completely different mindset and really experience in contrast to us.
They don't know what it's like to be a woman. They don't know what it's like to have to work harder simply because of your gender. And that's the point. And that's not people hear me say that and that's like, oh, I'm not, no, being pro-woman or talking about what it's like to be us is not anti-man. It's not anti-anything. It's just, hey, listen, I want you to listen what it's like for us. And for men, we're talking about your wives. We're talking about your moms. We're talking about your daughters.
When they see it through that lens, it hits differently.
Right. And for some, unless they're so narcissistic and so wrapped up in their own,
unless they assume that all women should be like barefoot and pregnant. I would be a horrible
barefoot
domestic goddess. I would be
trad wife.
I would be a terrible trad wife. Right. I mean, we were just talking about it last night. You and I suck at doing hair. So to be out on the prairie and braiding Ingalls hair, we would have been laughed at in the town square.
No, yeah. With Nellie, was it Nellie? Nellie the mean girl? Was she the
Nellie.
mean girl?
We just don't have it in us. And it's not that we're knocking that. It's just that some women, you do not naturally take to all things domesticity. You just don't.
I don't. And it was funny because I got home last night. We have started, now we are in this busy season with us and this phenomenal journey that we're all in sports. All 4 kids are in sports. We're going different directions. It is a very busy with Hector being the mayor. And then he had another meeting last night. And so they were eating on the fly. I don't think my family ate until like 8 o'clock, which they're used to because they were in Europe, right? They eat late, but
exactly.
They were not happy. So I got home last night and I was like, guys, we have to have a conversation. The crock pot's going to come back out. It was dead serious. And Nico's like, I'm like, what can I do? I got to bring the crock pot out. I can't because I don't want them eating junk. I don't want them to eat, but I would never have been able to do things every day baking from scratch. Can you imagine?
Oh, I mean, and to think that there are people today, and hats off to them, who are like, baking bread.
Amazing.
You know?
I mean, yeah,
It's
you're
like-
amazing. Like I want to. I want to
like
break.
Monique, our friend who made us the sourdough bread. That was
gone in
amazing.
seconds. It was gone in seconds.
So good.
I did want to say we want to thank Azalea Lane Boutique.
Yes.
Adele, right? Did I say that? Adele. I
Adele.
always say that wrong. And Adele, Azalea Lane Boutique. She is amazing. You've got to check out her spring collection. It is unbelievable. And she's offering quite a special. And we have a week left in March.
Yes,
In the
so-
whole entire month of March, she's offering, if you're watching this, 15% off your entire online order. You just have to enter the code FFLW15 and
AzaleaLaneBoutique.com. You
Yeah.
got to check it out. So what we love about her, speaking of allies, is how we have partnered with female-driven entrepreneurial pursuits, such as our med spa friend Liz with Splendore in Cedar Falls and Middle River Cabinetry in Winterset. So we have to do our sponsor identification because they matter to us because of their belief in supporting women.
Well, I was in speaking of Splendor, I have to tell you this. So I was in Casey's this morning and I was picking up my son, some breakfast after his weightlifting because Mama's been up since 5 dropping people off at sports things. This is insane. But anyway, and a woman came up to me, she's like, "Do you have makeup on?" And I'm like, "Okay, we fighting already? Like, what are we doing?" Like, and I said, "No." And I'm like, "Do I look that bad?" And she's like, "No, your face." She's like, "Your skin looks amazing."
That's so nice.
And so I was like, "Oh, thank you." And of course, it's like Liz, the magician at Splendora, trying to take care, taking care of my skin. But she's like, we were talking about that, and I said, "But it's also I don't drink." And this poor woman was like, "Oh my God, I'm gonna get a speech." But I just like to share that to people because that is when my whole complexion completely improved. When I stopped drinking alcohol, it's crazy how much like my skin came to life.
Documented, I've seen this online, documented before and afters. Have you seen that?
Yes,
where somebody stopped drinking, especially those who were doing so excessively.
Yes.
What a contrast. So, and of course me, I don't.
That's why your skin has always been.
No, when my skin looks bad, I don't have it's probably too much sugar.
No offense. Like your skin never looks bad though. And I'm not just saying
thank
that.
you.
Like your skin.
Well, and it helps that I got a liquid facelift, per Liz at Splendore. So yeah, so we appreciate having some help, but
you got to get to the root of it too, though. If you're like, you always have to get to the root of all the things. Like when you're having
a lot of it diet related,
when you're having stomach issues, if you're having complexion issues, if you're having all the things. And I am not a medical expert, but I'm saying I've learned one thing: food and drink, whatever we put in our body, it's either going to hurt you or it's going to heal you.
Yeah, you are what you eat. Is the cliche is true in so many respects. So it is interesting because when you talk about facial reconstruction, plastic surgery, all the things, there has been a shift. We love to judge some of these celebrities. There has been a shift, one that we've noted, where some of these doctors now, they've either found the magic bullet or these women have, all gone to the same doctor. But I'm going to tick off Kris Jenner, Martha Stewart, and now add Denise Richards. All three, and Nicole Kidman at the Oscars and Anne Hathaway. I mean, Nicole Kidman, for a time, she was getting that Joker face, I thought, where she looked she looked amazing at the Oscars, as did Anne Hathaway. And so I'm just wondering,
Nicole Kidman has her revenge face.
Yeah. What's going on? Because there was a time where it was like, okay, yes, they've had work done clearly, and it doesn't preserve how they looked before. Think Meg Ryan, Kenny Rogers, and now Bradley Cooper and Jim Carrey. They've really overdone it. So I mean, for me,
Ryan Gosling.
Oh yes, yes. So for me, it's like so crazy because you just think again, you surround yourself many times, especially when you're in that egocentric world, with yes men.
Sure.
And so I always tell her, like, if I do X, please slap me or tell me, because I never want to be that person who is so delusional that I'm like believing my own hype. And then people, are standing there going like, the emperor's wearing no clothes. And you're like completely in your own world.
I never want to like alter. It's kind of like when I talk about sculpture, and I don't mean to sound like an advertisement, but when I talk about sculpture, it's literally just, it stimulates your own collagen because it makes you look like it makes me look like me just a well-rested, like
True.
from
Like
a
it's
few years
enhancing
ago. Like
you.
let's just erase it. I think aging is first of all, aging is it's a blessing. It's a beautiful thing.
But we still
Except I don't
still
want.
are,
It's like
are
Dolly.
attempting to not look as old as our
Well,
actual age.
what is like Dolly Parton said in Steel Magnolias? Pretty soon you realize time marches on, and it's marching across your face with the crow's feet and stuff. But it's yeah. There's been a lot of work done. I mean, a lot of
and
what
again,
is it? Did
okay.
you see that meme that was like said something? It's like proof that you're not ugly, you're just poor.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. The Kardashian, the Jenner girls, because they'll show like
Before
Kylie before, and then they'll say, you know,
Kim.
yeah. Oh gosh. Yeah. Okay. Another thing that's funny.
That's horrible.
Another weird thing
Was that
that
not
you've got to see if you're bored and you want to entertain yourself with a lot of very inconsequential things. Google the video of Kim when she was having her team put her Oscar dress on, and they you know shimmied it down, and then they were, I mean, it was a stretch. They could barely get it over her backside. It was hilarious, and I was like, and it was so funny because I was laughing, thinking of how, you know, trends and body image and body positivity, all that changes, right, with the culture. So so our generation, it was like Christy Turlington.
Oh yeah.
You know, the modern day
Nikki
Twiggy.
Taylor.
Yes,
Nikki
like
Taylor.
very, very thin, no butt,
Kate
no
Moss.
boobs. And now it's like,
which I love that. I love that we have curves.
We like
and
that curves are in vogue, but curves now to the extreme of the BBLs,
We're adding
which is
things
just
to get
too
curves.
much.
It is too much.
I mean, you see these people, they're on TikTok, well documented, where it's like they're leading with their rear end.
And it's like, well, the problem is I have now, it's not the problem, but it's when I say it's a problem, it's like I feel sorry for so many men and women, because it's, what are we chasing? Because, you know, you see a lot of the stuff that the women are doing, and it's like they're all looking like everyone's looking the same.
Oh,
I mean, it's like,
no,
it's like
1,000%.
I mean,
In fact,
we're getting
you can
things
see
here
when people
when they do the cheeks.
You can see. I mean, my friend, she was living in Iowa, used to work with us years ago at the station. When she moved to Atlanta, she started getting all this work done. And I said, she's young and she's beautiful. And I said, what are you doing? And I said, it's gone too far. But it's all relevant to your environment. So see, she was around all these women who had all the fillers, and they were getting all the Botox. And so then you start to have this almost FOMO of like, well, I don't look like they do. But the thing is, look like you, right?
Yeah, that's what I want. I mean, I just want to look like, I get filler in my lips. That's the only place I get filler. I get filler in my lips because I used to have full lips until I had children.
To the dismay of Patrice.
Yeah, Patrice, girl, take a look at him. I know you're watching this morning, but no, but like I do, like I don't want to change. I don't want to alter my face. I mean, I had a news director, we talk about in the show. I had a news director at one point, a consultant, tell me that I need to get a nose job because my nose was too ethnic. And this is what's horrible. There are so many people who would have been like, okay, I'll go get the nose job. Okay.
Oh,
okay.
For sure.
Like, I mean, think about Hollywood. Like I was just
reading a story. Jennifer Grey. It totally changed her look.
Totally changed her look. And that's who I used to be told I was look like before she had a nose job.
Gosh.
Which I loved. I was like, okay. Because we had the perm and stuff. But there was an article I just read, and they said it was like everybody in Hollywood has the same nose. Like the same nose. Like, could you imagine if this is my late Sicilian grandmother's nose? Like, this nose is a badge of honor. Like, this is my dad's nose. Like, we joke about it. Gia now has my nose. And she's like, she's miserable about it. She's like, thanks for that. And I'm like, hey, like this nose means something. So it's that pressure. And for people who aren't in Hollywood, you know, so the regular person,
most of us,
well, who's putting that pressure on them?
Yeah.
Like, what standards,
well,
or is it because that they're scrolling this?
And as we know, as you guys have watched the evolution of some of these actors, I mean, if you're a comedic actor like a Jim Carrey, you are doing a disservice if you don't have the recognizable facial features and reactions that made you funny.
Yeah.
Because so much of your expressive nature reinforces the comedic and physical acting.
Right.
And so it's like weird. I mean, did I think it was a day that I was soloing when I talked about it.
Jim Carrey?
Yeah. He just got that Lifetime Achievement Award.
And people are saying that's not him.
Well, no,
Have you seen that?
Yeah. Oh yeah. But I mean, it's I did a double take when
Yeah.
did you see the video of him?
I
I
did.
mean, it
I
did
did.
surprise me, but he hasn't even really been out on the scene in any high profile movies. So maybe he's looked like this for some time and we just haven't seen him.
I
you
know.
know?
It was
So,
really, really close ups too. Like from far away, I
It
was
was
like, okay,
like-
so but when they
his
zoomed
face
in,
was like, it was like your Joker face that you do
oh yeah,
when you
Uh-uh.
got in trouble for not
for
smiling.
not smiling at the woman in Hy-Vee the right way.
Okay, so we have to mention this comment because I thought this was cute. Katie said, "Good morning, ladies. Loved that you matched in your bright pink." So we didn't plan it. We did not talk or see each other until last night. And it just so happened at our show in Alden, I was wearing a pink quilted vest, hot pink, and you were wearing a hot pink blazer.
I was.
So that was fun. Now, what are you wearing tonight? We have a show in Jessup.
You know,
Tickets still available. We will sell them
We love
online
Jessup.
all the way right up until showtime at the Golf and
I
Country
woke
Club.
up. Okay, I woke up thinking about Jessup, Iowa this morning, not just because we have a show, but because Jessup, when you play them in football, they have the best like hot dogs and hamburgers. I'm like not even joking. Like I live off like I'm not supposed to eat hot dogs because stomach stuff, but like I live for like a dog, like a good old, what I mean? Like
Yeah.
they have the best hot dogs, hamburgers. I was like, so I was sitting there getting ready to come to the show this morning, and I'm like, man, I wish their concession stand was at our show
Oh,
show
that's
tonight.
awesome.
No, but
love
I
it.
think I'm wearing, since it's going to be hot, and I wasn't even thinking, I think I'm going to wear like all black, some leather, because I was listening
Okay.
to Cool Rider
Okay.
from Grease 2 this
Oh
morning.
my gosh, that is so funny. So I have kind of a shorter sleeve, and so I'm wearing, because of what you just said, I did ask my husband last night, is it supposed to be nice today? And he said, I think it's getting up to 70,
78.
right? Oh, in this,
I think it's 78.
So I
I
have
can
like
check. Your
kind
time
of
and
like
temperature.
a faux suede kind of peach jacket that I
Okay.
bought from a neighbor's garage sale.
Oh, okay. Well, I was laughing this morning because Tara, would I ever have been allowed to wear stripes
Oh, no.
on
It
television?
would have been too busy, but it's a very, I
It's
love
the
that it's
vertical.
a spring blouse.
Thank you.
Yeah.
TJ Maxx for the
Cute.
win. 74 degrees. I remember we were never allowed to wear stripes. That's what set off a chain of reactions at one station with the whole clothing ordering. You remember
Oh yeah.
the great scandal. And then I was never allowed to wear all black. Have you ever
Mhm.
seen me at a show? That's all I wear. So my last newscast ever, I wore all black jacket, black shirt, black skirt, I mean, like all head to toe. I think my nails were painted black. I think I had black. I mean, like I was like,
You were like emo before emo was a thing.
Yeah,
No,
and I was
but
like-
but we felt, and I love how you describe it. You didn't want to lead with your clothes and your accessories, right?
It
'Cause
wasn't about-
that's not why we were there.
but it was when people are still wanting to, dress you up in like a porcelain doll.
Mhm.
Like wear that, like it was very weird to me. My dad would never have walked into my room and said, "You're going to wear this today, you're going to wear this today." My husband would never say, "You're going to wear this." I mean, he could try. He may be 6 feet under, but he could try. But so for me, it was to have men, whether it was consultants or news directors,
Mhm.
say,
Mhm.
you need to weigh this, you need to wear this, you need to do your hair that, and it was just
And the people with like the worst fashion sense, right, telling us how to do their hair. I mean, I remember I had a boss, a news director, who had hair like Cookie the Clown from the Bozo Show,
yeah.
and a nice guy, but he was the last person who should have been telling me. And so he was telling me that, I needed to go to the salon and get a tutorial on how to use a flat iron. And I said, my hair, it has so much body. Every day it could look different just based on how I twist my wrist when I
Yeah.
blow dry.
I know,
That's
I know.
how much. And so I am almost envious now of some of the women that we knew that ultimately over the course of their careers, they started wearing wigs,
Yeah.
because if you think about
It's
wigs,
smart.
your hair never changes.
Yeah,
And so
it's
I
smart.
think I wish the wig thing, because at the time when we were on television, especially for white women, the whole world of extensions and wigs was not something that a lot of white women really embraced.
No.
And so that happened after our time in television.
Yeah, when extensions came in, so it was, I don't know what year it was. it was near the end, like my final 5 years, 4 years in the news. And I had that station sanctioned blonde bob. Tara and I both did the blonde Marvin the Martian haircut,
Yes.
right? And it was like platinum. And I was just tired of the hair and I wanted to grow long hair. And then I was at the salon and they're like, you know, we have these new things called tape-in extensions. And I'm like, what? So I went to my boss.
I remember when you got those.
And I remember, and I said to him, I'm like, can I have long hair? And he was very receptive. This was my big boss. And he was like, yeah. He's like, yeah, you can grow it out. And I'm like, no, like now. Can I have long hair now? And he like, and it was very fun. We had a very funny conversation because it was kind of like trying to explain it to him. And he was like, okay, yeah, we can do it. And so I'm always very appreciative of that. And that sounds so silly, but if you would understand, like your haircut was your haircut and that's how you were marketed.
Yeah, we always knew we'd have to wear shorter hair, which is why despite the protest of some who say we're too old to have long hair, this is partly born out of years of having to have that controlled shorter bob, you know?
Oh my God.
And I was shocked. I mean, I have been able to, and it took me over a year after I exited TV news, I was able to grow my own hair back and have it be healthy. It took me over a year to get my hair healthy because we were so over processed.
I'm completely over processed. Like I see, like people ask me now, like I still have extensions in my hair but now they're like the sew-in ones. But here, this is my real hair right here.
Yeah, so you're still able to grow it.
My hair is like, but it was like, for instance, the sides, like these are my sides have finally grown. But for so long, my sides would not grow past here. Because I'm telling you, when I say when my hair was blonde, it was fried, like charred. The top of my hair at one point, this whole part back here was bleached off, like it fell off.
Isn't it crazy? I know, and it's true what you say. It was like you could light a match by us, and we would go up. I would light a
scarecrow from like Wizard of Oz, and like they were like the Wicked Witch with the broom with the fans. But I wanted to say the news of the day was very interesting, and I watched a CNN reporter, like just kind of like it was like a balloon going. So as you know, the airports across the country, President Trump has had ICE.
Yes.
ICE go into the airport. So the media was, you know, very just sounding the alarms because, for instance, let's talk about the Atlanta airport. There was lines wrapped out all the way out, and they were telling people get there 4, 5, 6 hours before your flight. So this reporter is there, and he's talking to Wolf Blitzer, and he says, "I can't believe what I'm going to tell you, Wolf." He was like, the lines are down to no more than 10 minutes. He said he had to admit, he said the ICE agents, they're not checking paperwork. They're just saying hello to people. They're being very friendly. They don't have masks on. They're here to assist TSA because the partial government shutdown. Right. A lot of TSA agents are not showing up for work because they're not getting paid, right? Would you show up if you weren't getting paid? No. So ICE was called in to help move it along. No one, they talked to passengers. They're like, they were friendly. They didn't check anything. They're just moving the lines along. So now you've taken a 4-hour wait time. It is down to minutes at one of the busiest airports in the country. Facts matter.
Yeah, I was thrilled to hear about it because I'll be flying during the Easter weekend. So I was selfishly like, okay, because I'm going to a major airport. So I mean, and you found a contrast to your own experience flying to Europe compared to what you had seen on the news, because you thought it would be a lot worse.
Oh, we were watching the news, the national news, right? Yeah. They were saying if you're going out of O'Hare, you need to get there super, super early. So we were there 4.5 hours before our flight, you know, which, okay, that's fine. But like 4.5 hours with kids, even though our kids are like, they're not toddlers anymore, 4.5 hours, we sped through the line. Wow. I mean, like there was no line.
It gave Lucci ample time to search shop for the Corgi Cafe.
The Corgi Cafe on TikTok. But it was interesting because one of my former producers, one of my favorite producers, Scott, he lives in a suburb of Chicago. Yeah. And he posted on social media. And he said recently, I worked in the news for a long time and I walked away. He was like, and this is why. Be careful. Stop being spoon-fed everything. Stop being spoon-fed.
So true.
Because he was in the Chicago airport and he's like, there's no line. There's no line. Like, there was no line. And you have these doomsday reporters. So that's why when I was watching that reporter be at the actual airport, because the day before this same reporter was like, the lines are horrible. ICE is checking people and their ICE is sending people home. And then he had to go the next day and like basically he was like,
Yeah.
I was wrong.
Yeah, I love it. Well, I have to
Facts
mention
matter.
the way that social media has impacted journalism. No one could have predicted. I mean,
this is great.
there is now this, you could call him a citizen journalist or a vigilante journalist, and he is quite young, Nick Shirley. Some of you will recognize the name because he was one of the loudest voices who sort of gained prominence when he started sharing social media clips of all of the fraud that he had uncovered initially in the Minneapolis area when it came to daycares and fraudulent use of government supported dollars that were going toward alleged daycares where many people that were registered, many children and families, turned out to be a ghost, in the sense that when you showed up to these centers in person, there were no children present. So he has now set his sights on Los Angeles. And I have been actually floored and shared some of the clips with you. If you go on TikTok, and of course, if you're in, your For You page where they serve up the videos that align with whatever is in the algorithm that you've previously viewed, now I'm getting a lot more of these videos. And since I'm talking about it with my phone, I'm sure this will continue. But he has now uncovered in LA this incredible web of hospice scams where one motel or hotel, and I say motel because it had like almost, the exterior doors and it looked like something you'd see years ago, like a Motel 6. There were like 100 hospices registered to this one building and no one is there. These offices and buildings are not staffed. And if anyone can be sort of cornered, they want to act as if he is trespassing and he's wrong to question. And they even have a woman that he includes in these videos who has repeatedly gone on behalf of the state of California to these places, the hospices, the daycares, for these checks. And they have found numerous violations and many, much evidence of fraudulent behavior, and yet nothing
That's crazy.
is being done about it. And so, I mean, I was blown away at how prevalent it was. The statistic I heard, and this is coming from a guy on TikTok, but the statistic from Nick Shirley that blew my mind that I told you about, 1 out of every $10 in this country going toward the Medicare reimbursement, 1 out of every $10 is going to LA County.
Wow.
I mean,
out of the entire country.
So we were joking, come tax time, those of you who can relate to this, we were joking saying the whole reason that we're working is to support daycares in Minneapolis. Now I've shifted my line to, I'm now every, 10 cents of every dollar that I send to the government, it's actually going to support all the fake hospice shell companies in LA County, where everybody tied to them, because it's in Nick Shirley's videos, you can see it, they're all driving $200,000 cars. I mean, look, they're all driving luxury vehicles with tinted windows. And so he was going up to the people in the car as they were trying to get away from his camera, saying, now how do I sign up for a hospice?
And it's very interesting. What you're going to find, like, I do trust this reporter. I trust him, and this is why you can, right?
Because again, he had evidence. He had all the registered addresses.
He has all the receipts, and facts matter. The reasons you won't see this on the national news, network news, anything, is because advertisers are involved. And the moment that advertisers get involved, they control all the puppet strings, and there's money attached and the management and all the stuff. He is, when you have these vigilante reporters and journalists, those are the ones I trust the most, because they are doing it to hold the powerful accountable.
And they are doing it, pulling their strings.
No one's pulling their strings.
That's so true.
And that is the problem, that people are like, well, I haven't seen it on this. This is new. Like, it's no, like, I don't care. I don't care if it is network news that airs at 6:30. I don't care if it's the 24/7 news. I don't trust a one. One, because there is an agenda.
Oh, 1,000%.
Also, speaking of agendas, I was watching, who was he on? He was on a podcast. Vince Vaughn was on a podcast. And he is a longtime libertarian. I think he had always been said that he was a libertarian. But he was talking about the late night shows. He said, listen, I understand basically you have to talk about politics because those are the current events. He was like, but I'm tired of feeling like I'm sitting in a class and getting scolded.
Oh, for sure.
I mean, he was just basically saying, he's like, they have such
Understood.
an agenda and they have to show their anger. And if you have to be angry with them, and if you're not, you're a loser. And he's like, I'm over it. He was like, that's why. He said, everyone's saying that all these shows are dying because of streaming. He said, it's not streaming. He said, people want authenticity. And you sitting up there and lecturing somebody of
correct.
what to think, what to feel, how to vote, that's not authenticity. That's not being authentic. Like, why are we doing this? Like, that's why podcasts are so popular now and everyone seems to be doing them, because people are just, most of them are speaking like truth and raw and real.
And no, never would we have had this on our bingo card that in 2026, Bill Maher of Politically Incorrect fame has now become the voice of reason. I mean, and this is a guy I've watched and admired for years. And he got his start as more of a political comedian, always doing scathing commentaries. He still very much infuses a lot of jokes into his show. But I believe if you have HBO Max as a streaming subscription, Politically Incorrect is one of the only intellectually stimulating conversational shows that is out there, that exists, because he's a well-read, very educated person who also can come off as very condescending, but he's very open to bringing many opposing voices and viewpoints before him live in his, as live show. He's so honest about the fact that he has invited the AOCs and the Gavin Newsoms, and the list goes on and on. And most of those asks, those requests, go unanswered. And so when people have been so critical of him, like, why are you only having these Republicans or these conservative? They are the only ones accepting this offer that he's extending to all. Because
this is why, because whether it's Republican or Democrat, right? They're not going to go on any show where someone's going to hold their feet to the fire to have a real conversation.
Sure.
So they only want to go on. That's why you see certain people only going on late night, because they know.
Like when you were given pre-scripted questions, you were supposed to give. Yeah.
Right. That is why. It's like, if you only see these people on this channel, it's because it's friendly fire.
It's friendly
fire. And then they're all going to team up and be like, oh, that other party is so bad. It's just so, like, it's insane to me. Like, so nobody wants honest, genuine journalistic questions. That's why they won't go on.
And we know uniquely, and we've tried to sort of explain this as much as people forget this, a lot of the world of television news is now performative. So here's a great example of that. When RFK Jr.'s girlfriend, now during the campaign, they claimed Cheryl, she's that actress from,
she's the wife now, she's married.
Yeah. Okay. What is the show that
Curb Your Enthusiasm?
Thank you. I'm so glad you remember that, because I was drawing.
I can't believe I did.
Cheryl Hines.
Yes.
So she's a longtime actress. She and RFK Jr. now married. Okay. When they were dating during the campaign, pre-Trump's election, they like faked a separation because it was so brutal in terms of the impact on her. So they like acted like they had like parted ways temporarily. I mean, so they've documented post-election. She did this interview that I saw where she said the way that The View cast and the way that those women treated her on air, where it was very divisive and combative, was so different from how it was during the commercial break. During the commercial, they were like normal, nice, very gracious, like, oh, we hope you come back. And then the minute the cameras went on, they had to elevate it. They had to adopt that posture of, we fight everybody and we're right and you're wrong. And it was like, so I 1000% now believe, and whether, I don't know if, it's the chicken and the egg. I don't know which came first, but at some point, Joy Behar and Whoopi Goldberg, they recognized no publicity is bad publicity. So if we're known as the bees who challenge everybody, we're going to embrace that. I mean, I really believe that. So it's so interesting, because I hadn't even thought of that. Right.
That is interesting.
So they're like kissing their rears
backstage. That show gives me so much
anxiety.
My chest is so tight when that show is on, because it's just, I honestly don't even hear what they're saying. I just hear yelling and fighting, and everyone is like,
and then watch. It's true. Watch this sometime. And I don't even watch it. I do see clips on TikTok when someone says something that the crowd shockingly supports, if it's counter to Whoopi's opinion, Whoopi always says, "We'll be right back." She like cuts it off and sends it to a commercial. It's so funny. And I love that because you and I, we didn't have that authority, even though we were on live television. We were directed by a producer in a booth. And so it is funny when you think about the very few times in our career where we bucked the producer and did and said what we wanted. One of them being when I said goodbye the night that I left.
Yeah.
I went off script.
You went off script because we were given.
What are they going to do?
Yeah. What you going to who going to check me, boo? Who's going to check me? I think the only time that I was when we did breaking news. And when you had to cut in and then you could say, toss it to the commercial. And that gave you like an overwhelming sense of power. Like, you know what I mean? Like when you were like calling the shot, because when you're up on the desk, remember it was like breaking, you do the cut in. You're like, that's all for right now.
Yeah.
Like, we're going to send it back to Price is Right.
Yeah. It's so true. Like what people don't understand is the way that works with television. You go, the newscasts at least, you go into it thinking, you're going to have all these stories that are listed in a rundown. And then the weather person decides to go long because
it's always the weather person.
There's a cloud overhead.
The cloud that we're going to
they're cutting, the AmVets bingo that everyone was waiting to see.
Do we need, did we ever need in across the country? And like when we're talking about this again, remember, she and I have nearly 40 years combined all across the country at television stations. So we're not just talking about where we are currently. Do we need 17 weather segments in a 30-minute newscast? I mean, did we really?
You're absolutely right. It was ratings driven because people care about the weather. So
but don't you think?
But it's overkill to us.
Oh,
it's too much.
I mean, and I know certain places, no matter where you live in the country, if we were talking about here, certain things matter because of farming, right? And so farmers, especially in the morning, like in the morning weather was always, I thought, really, really important to give every specific detail. But at the end of the day, like, people want to know, is it going to rain? Do I need my umbrella? Is it going to snow? Like, just tell me, like, it's kind of like, was it Family Guy? Is it feel like, it's raining. Like, and then the weather was over.
Why people now have moved to apps because we have such a short attention span that we no longer want to wait until the end of the A block to get the forecast. Couple comments I want to note. And thank you, by the way, for those of you who are watching and engaging with us by adding your comments. Jenna said it will be interesting if Spencer Pratt becomes the mayor. So for those of you following, again, it depends on your news sources.
Lord Almighty.
Spencer Pratt, longtime reality star from the early days on The Hills.
With a creepy mustache, like a blonde mustache.
But I have to give him credit. He and Heidi, he has made a name for himself on TikTok as being somebody who is outspoken about the lack of support and rebuilding post LA fires. So he now is saying, I never wanted to be mayor. I'm not a politician, but I know that we need better leadership because of what all of these people have experienced, not getting the permits and the approvals and sort of being able to literally rebuild their lives post fire. So it is interesting because of all people, I think it was Lorenzo Lamas who was now coming out in support of Spencer Pratt.
Okay.
I mean, so
Lorenzo Lamas.
Hey, Falcon Crest. We will die on the hill. Dallas and Falcon Crest. He was son.
And he was in Grease.
And your favorite Grease 2. I'm an OG Grease.
No, he's in Grease 1. He was in Grease 1 because he was the boy toy on the side of that chippy girl, that one cheerleader. Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Okay.
Let me see.
I don't think that was him. I don't know why I was
Grease 2 only had the high class people. No.
Grease 2 had not as good of a soundtrack, but
Okay, by the way, speaking of Grease 1, Grease 2, not to go back to it, but I figured it out over the weekend. Why? Like why
the acting isn't as good.
No, it's not even about that. It is the main character vibes. Think about it. I am adverse to the chocolate covered razor blade girl.
But that's because they appeal to a younger generation.
No, but think about it. No. Grease 1, like Sandra Dee, just goody two shoes, and everybody likes her, and I think she was phony.
She's embraced for becoming a baddie.
No, but it's not authentic. And I guarantee once the cameras went off, she was like, let me go put my cheerleading skirt back on. Like she was like, let me, she wasn't a baddie. She dressed up like a baddie for a day.
She was a
But-
baddie when she came out of the funhouse.
I thought it was fake, but like the whole movie, she's got that energy. Then you have main character energy Grease 2, Michelle Pfeiffer. She wants a cool rider. She's like, I want a cool rider. Here comes like this square. She's like, I'm not. She never changed one time that whole movie. That's what it is.
And I love her. I mean, if you've been watching
Yeah,
Amy
Years of
Taylor
Grace.
Sheridan, so the Madison starring Michelle Pfeiffer is the latest Taylor Sheridan show that I loved. My mom and I watched 3 episodes, thanks to Rebecca, our friend, actually, for suggesting it. So I watched all of the first season because the remaining 3 episodes rather dropped over the weekend, but
See,
great show.
Lorenzo
Oh,
Lamas.
thank you. You're right. He was the
Standing next to
track.
the cheesy
He was
Sandra D.
He was the guy who, yeah,
Cheesy.
she
Sandra
dated
D.
to make Danny jealous, right? I do remember that. And he had a really
he,
bad dye job. So, okay. So back to the comments. In addition to the Spencer Pratt has unexpectedly gained traction simply because he's saying we
Sure.
need an alternative if everything is coming to a standstill and we're not being given any clearance or permitting, right?
And he's not able to rebuild their house. Everything they had was put into that
Oh,
house. And
yeah.
I think the insurance, nothing. By the way, look at the comment from your mom. She agrees. She's so tired of hearing the weather forecast repeated numerous times during a newscast. Thank you, Joanne. It is so true. Like, it's going to rain.
Yeah.
Like today,
But-
like just if I was doing the weather today, I'd be like, it's going to be 74 degrees. Back to you.
Period. Right. I know and we used to hate then
Ugh.
when the weather segments went long, because then we were being told in our ear, like, Brad, we don't have time. So it was like cutting into us BSing and chatting, which we so enjoyed and
That was the
relished.
best part. That was the best
Okay, I
part.
wanted to acknowledge this comment from Esley Joe. She says much of his reporting in Minneapolis was debunked, meaning Nick Shirley. And let's be clear, we are not taking, sides, so to speak, in terms of truth versus fiction. What we're saying is it's very interesting how now somebody who's basically a 20-something who has no, professional avenue to report can actually be on the ground and doing the kind of investigative journalism that is lacking in the traditional mainstream media.
There is no investigative journalism anymore. There is no investigative journalism anymore. People, they like, especially local news, they are press release stations. When was first of all, I don't watch local news anymore. But when was the last time
Which
anybody
says
got
a lot when we devoted decades of our lives to it.
When was the last time you got anything like meaty? I remember sitting in a station when I went to a station one time, and every news station, local news, you have a scanner, police scanners going off all the time. That's all you hear are scanners. So we were listening to a scanner, and it was like this 4-alarm fire, 5-alarm fire, whatever. It was coming on the scanner, and no one moved. And I'm sitting there, and I'm like this. Like, I'm looking around, and I look at the assignment editor,
Because
and
we were conditioned to react.
go. Oh, sorry, I'm touching your thigh there. And so I said, I look at the assignment editor. I'm like, do you hear that? Like, there's a fire. And he looks over at somebody. He said, hey, can you call on that? And I go, can we go? Can we go to the scene? Because that's what reporting is, right? Some of it's tedious. It's not fun. It's knocking on doors. It's literally going out and like taking the rubber off your shoes because you're doing so much walking and so much canvassing.
Didn't
it's
you
hard.
tell me that you overheard a news director at one point say something like, unless we can smell the bodies burning,
Yes.
we're not covering it.
Right.
I mean, how callous.
Yeah.
That is not, to
Right.
hear a statement like
bleeds.
that would not be shocking
What
to
is
us.
Ready? If it bleeds,
It
it
leads.
leads. That was what we were taught in news. If it bleeds, it leads.
Yeah, the more it became, the more sensational, the more gore, the more shock value, then you are more likely to see a reporter or crew sent out there. Otherwise, whatever, move on to the next.
What is going to get, and that's the thing. When people are doing, you'll see people say like, thank you so much to this news station for, let me make this very clear. News stations don't care. They don't care about what's happened to the family, the community. They don't.
Yeah, that's not the business model.
The care is, we're going to continue doing follow-ups because guess what? Every time somebody clicks on this, we make more money.
Right.
That's
Yeah,
what it is.
it's a two-way relationship because you are being fed the content, but the only content that is going to be curated to arrive or land, in your inbox, so to speak, is whatever propels you to then engage with them,
Yeah.
and thereby boost the
Right.
support of the advertisers by way of clicks and views.
Right.
And so it is a weird relationship, and it's a relationship driven by profit. And so only when you make money can you keep the lights on, which means we have to cut things that are not serving the end game of profitability.
Yes. Yeah. And that's going to, I think that's happening at news stations all across the country because it's not appointment television anymore.
No.
At 5 o'clock,
Well,
everything
we
is
don't
old.
watch,
No.
which is sad. I mean,
That's
I
weird.
wish that we
When I first left,
felt that it was advantageous to our life.
so this is so funny. My very first night anchoring in Iowa, there was a top story had to do with the local school district, the largest school district. Well, who was the head communications person at the school district? It was Tara.
Some washed up
blonde. So it was so funny. And I'm like thankful. Like I was laughing. And it was funny, because I'm like, here's Tara Thomas. And so then she was in that different role. But I laugh because had it been somebody else, if that was me, I mean, I was blacklisted from stations after I left them, that I could never appear on them again because it made
even though you were the voice and face of a very high profile local nonprofit at the time.
Yeah. Right. So that was really,
we're not going to put her on camera.
That's
Well, and also full disclosure, you were asked to come back and do some kind of promotional spot or something. And then a person that was hired, there were other, current news people at the time who said, well, we don't want you to come back and be on camera.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, and so there's a lot that goes on behind the scenes. And those of you who've come to our shows will understand that's just how the nature of the business, where women were being pitted against one another. So we don't take it personally because we just knew that that's how it was. Once we were out, they wanted to put us out to pasture. They don't want, Jane Pauley popping up when Deborah Norville has now taken the seat.
Yeah.
I get it.
I was thinking about something the other day when I was in Texas and I was the evening news anchor. I was one of the main anchors, and there was a young reporter, and she went to a very, very big college, a very, good college. Right. And so she was a horrible reporter. She was not a good, that's okay though, but that's okay. She was young, right? She was 22, 23 years old. She was not a good reporter. I mean, basic stuff and the execution on air. Okay. And at that time, my news director and my mentor had left that station and she had moved on to Oklahoma City. So Carrie King, who developed me, right, and mentored me, was gone. So we had somebody else in place, and it was not the same, right? It was very big shoes to fill. So this girl, I was hard on her, the same way Carrie was hard on me. I'm going to pour into you, but I'm going to be, and I don't sugarcoat anything. I get to A and B very quickly. I'm not going to be well, no, A to B. Mm-hmm. Her mother called me.
Oh my gosh.
Her mother called me and said, you made my daughter cry. You're not being nice. I think you are disgusting. Because I was direct, because I said, this isn't good. I just said, this isn't good. You know what I mean? And I'm thinking to myself, I'm is this was the next generation coming up?
Okay.
A lot. So after, can you imagine?
Our mom, yeah, no. And also noted, we are not going to make calls on behalf of our kids to their coworkers.
Could you imagine? And she was calling me and I'm and then so I said, she was
I say,
and I'm and I said,
oh my gosh, sorry.
Are you okay? And
Yeah.
I said, well, this is inappropriate and uncomfortable. She's like, it's uncomfortable for you. And I went, yeah, it's uncomfortable. What are you doing? And I'm I go across I yell across, I go, yo, do you have your mom call me? And so I'm well, you can talk to the news director. And so I remember the news director at the time, he was you just need to go a little easy on her. And so it was that's why I think news is such crap today. Because we weren't.
People can't take criticism.
You can't.
And that's part of the job.
And it's not. And
I
remember when a young woman came in when we were doing our makeup, and she came in and she was very upset because this boss had told her
oh yeah,
she had to work on her delivery and everything. And I looked at her and I'm be thankful that he's talking to you about your delivery. He wants you to get better. I wish someone would critique me on that rather than the size of my hips.
Oh, for sure. because you can improve that. Everything else for us was like shallow judgments.
When I was in Iowa, and it was after I had Luciana, and I had to I was doing a promo, and I remember the marketing guy came down, and I had just shot these promos the day before, and those were tedious, and that sounds like, okay, Amanda, but they were, because you had to come in like early, and then you had to get all your hair and makeup done early, and then you had to do it again. Like, it was just, I don't like doing my hair and makeup. Like, it's just ugh. So he says to me, he was like, we have to reshoot these promos, and I'm like, why? And he's like, well, I'm just going to tell you what they said. I go, what? He said, they just said that you just look too big, too fat. He's like, no offense, but I told him that's the way she looks. And I was like, and I looked at him and I said, thank you for that. He was like, I hope you don't mind me saying that. And I go, no, because this is the way I look. But he had the, Tara, I was like contorted. I was like doing this. Like, I had to like stand a certain way. So like the angles didn't make me.
But and I like him, but with all due respect, this is the same guy who edited my promo about my thyroid surgery, where it said, he took out of context the line where I said, and I didn't want to have a scar on my neck. The follow-up, part of that he clipped missed the bigger line about the minimally invasive nature of the surgery going through my underarm.
So it made it sound like you were
saved me from having a 6-week recovery. I was back on the news in like 3 days after I had half my thyroid.
So
removed.
It made it look like you were vain.
So someone put it wasn't a Call the Courier. It was an op-ed that they published, and I have it in the Waterloo Cedar Falls Courier, where somebody did a letter to the editor, a letter to the editor saying, Tara Thomas is so vain that she talked about not wanting a scar on her neck. And the reason that I laugh about it today is because because that was somebody at the Courier, a local journalist who should have recognized this is so out of line.
They printed that?
And they printed that. And
that's
so
disgusting.
again, what are we doing? Is it journalism, or are we driven by the sensational nature of, let's watch the news anchors be torn down in exchange for more people to read our paper? And so I'll never forget that.
I did not know an op-ed.
I also saved a mini, and we were the butt of the subject of many Call the Couriers. I saved that because one of them was, why does Tara Thomas live in Cedar Falls when she promotes the Waterloo schools? And I lived in Waterloo as soon as I got the job.
You did move
with the schools. I moved to Waterloo because there was no way that I was going to, not support the district and live in it when I was an administrator. And that's another topic for another day.
Yeah.
How dare they post in the Call the Courier where
you live?
Yeah.
But I cannot stand the Call the Courier.
But it's back.
It's back because it's like
it's popular.
It's hate watching and watching people fail. Like, how many times was I like the Call the Courier about like, why she's gaining so much weight? Is she pregnant again, or is she just fat? And why does she always wear that black jacket? And why? And it's like, why would you allow open season? Like, you're putting us out there. Like, it was like a firing squad.
Because those people making the decisions have not been
in the
recipients of that shallow level criticism, and then they haven't been tarred and feathered in the public square. Listen, like we have.
I don't tolerate it for anybody. I don't care if I like you or I don't like you. It is not fun. It is not.
And fun. You do take it personally, and to say, oh, I have a thick skin. And then what I hate is when people would always say, especially the men, when we were being ripped up and down for our appearance, and then the men would say like, oh, don't worry about it, you look fine. And I wanted to say, okay, how would you feel if in print or in an email that hundreds of people read, somebody said, you've really let yourself go, you look really fat? The men would have been like crying in the corner. I think
they couldn't have handled it. I think about so many people who I work with over the years, and the moment, it's like the straight panic attack. Like, if they were the men, no one ever talked to them about how they looked. I remember one time someone said, we need to talk about your appearance. You look like you're gaining weight. And this man had a full on meltdown, breakdown. And I was sitting there, literally, I will never forget. I was eating like celery sticks. I'm just sitting there crunching like and staring like, this is daily for women, like daily. And so now we're supposed to give a damn because you're upset about it. Like, you know what I mean?
It's true. No one ever, that was so rare that somebody would criticize a man's appearance.
When-
It never happened.
So in the news, like when with all the changes in the news and with all of the changes that have happened and will happen, and like when men are affected by it now, like my heart goes out to anybody who's going through it. But you all said, where was the outrage?
And
It's selective
this has
outrage.
been happening to women for decades.
How many women did they sit next to who were told to leave before they turned 40? How many women did they sit next to?
There are no women
who were called
yeah.
fat effing hippos, and you stayed silent. How many women left in tears because of this and this and this? And then you said, so now after how many years in the business, now you're getting a little bit of a taste of it. And now I'm like,
and now we're supposed to be upset. But what's crazy is, and I know you can relate to this, every time we travel and happen to be in a hotel or somewhere where we turn on the news, if we ever see an older woman, our immediate default is, wow, I can't imagine what she's been through.
1,000%.
Isn't that crazy? You immediately know their shared experience that is universal has to be one of, I'm a survivor.
It is. And
I
the
mean,
moment that
they've been clawing the desk for 10, 20 years.
They've lasted it. So they've clearly have played the game. And I'm not saying that in a negative connotation, because you have to.
They've been navigating around minefields.
Yeah. And every time a woman leaves, the first thing they do, they write about their experience. And it's literally the same across the board. I mean, I was watching at one point and I saw somebody on television in my travels. And I had an interaction with
your travels. You sound like
in my travels.
Gulliver's Travels.
I am. And I remember looking at that person and I was like, of course she's in that role now, because she was an awful human being to me and so many people.
Oh, wow.
So of course she outlasted, because she was never a girl's girl. Never. So of course she's lasting. Of course she has longevity.
Sometimes the ones that are the most cutthroat, they'll
make it to the top.
So to
but
speak.
Guess what? That fall is going to hurt, because it's going to come, because that energy that you've put out, it will return to you. So it's so funny. So there, like when I saw that person in that role, and I kind of like smirked, and I was like, because I mean, she just went through the business like with knives, like going into the backs of everybody, and like was just. Was a hateful person. It's nowhere around here, so don't worry. Like, don't Google it. Well, someday I'll release the files.
I love it. Okay, well, we shockingly are approaching the top of the hour.
End of the hour. It is 7:57. We are going to end with the 4-letter word of the day, brought to you by Azalea Lane Boutique. Don't forget, you can get 15% off your entire order if you go to azaleaboutique.com. Just use the code FFLW15. Great stuff. The weather's warming up, so now is the time.
Yes, and I love, again, your spring blouse is making me happy that we're warming up.
It is, yes. Time for another spray tan. But my 4-letter word of the day is move, because on my way over here, I was listening to Cool Rider and the Grease 2 soundtrack. Cool Rider. When was the last time you listened to something that you listened to as a kid, right? When was the last time you put on some music like you were a kid back in your bedroom and you had your boombox on and just danced, and you had your hairbrush and you sang into the mirror? Get up and move today. Find that song that just sets your soul on fire, that takes you back to that 10-year-old kid, that version of you, right?
I had this big mirror in my bedroom, and I did a dance routine to One Night in Bangkok.
Oh,
remember that song? And I just thought of it.
Oh my God, this is our video evidence.
Oh my gosh. All right. So our verse of the day comes from the book of Matthew, chapter 7, verse 8. For everyone who asks receives, the one who seeks finds, and to the one who knocks, the door will be opened. So don't be afraid to ask God for whatever guidance you need, because in our experience, when we have leaned into him, he has made a way, opened a door, and given us the light at the end of the tunnel.
That's right. And sometimes his answer is not no, it's not now. So remember that. So be patient. Be patient.
So just thanks so much for spending the morning with us. We've had a crazy, busy, but such a fun week. Alden was amazing. Thanks to Teresa, who came to a second show, all the people that came out, a lot of newbies. One lady said there were a lot of Faith and Four Letter Word virgins there, which I loved.
I loved it.
That was so great. And then tonight we are so thrilled to be back in the saddle out in Jessup at the Golf and Country Club. Tickets on faithandfourletterwords.com will be for sale all the way up until showtime, which is 6 p.m. So we will see you there. And otherwise we'll see you online for the group chat. We'll be back Friday morning at 7.
Enjoy the weather.
The group chat is brought to you by the empowering staff at Middle River Cabinetry, Splendore the Medical Spa and Azalea Lane Boutique.